Welcome everyone to the Bran'sTech podcast. We're so glad to have you here today. This podcast episode is in both audio and video form. The audio form is found anywhere you can find podcasts, but to check out the video, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Tansson Talks. This episode will begin in just one moment after these messages, so please stay tuned. Hello everyone, this is Brandon K. Hedgepeth, and welcome to today's episode of the Bran'sTech podcast station. I'm really excited to have you all here today for this interview. So let me go ahead and start off with my amazing guest here for today. He is a artist, photographer, social media guy, and he has so many different interests, and right now he's about to start his next journey of college. Please welcome my guest for today, Kobi McCray. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I like that. You read that all amazing. I like that a lot. Hello, I'm happy to be here. What's going on?
Oh yeah, I'm glad to have you here. And so, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I just sipped some water. I'm feeling refreshed. I'm feeling like I'm ready to take on the world. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're energetic and ready for this interview here this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been trying to get this one in for a second. So, I'm just excited to actually be up here talking about stuff. I like to talk, so and listen to. I like to do both.
Well, I'm glad to definitely hear that. And so before we go ahead and get started, I'm going to allow a moment for you to go ahead and introduce yourself to the watching or viewing and listening audience before we go ahead and start up.
All right, cool. Yeah, well, like he said, my name is Kobi. I'm on Instagram at Cash Kobi with a K. It's KASHKOBI. I'm not Kobe with an E. I'm Kobe with an I. Rest in peace, Kobe though. Yeah, I do photography, Photoshop. I do a lot of art. I'm really interested in the art and stuff like that. I like to read, write, all that. But right now, my main focus right now is photography and doing cinematography stuff. I want to be a creative director of a company in the future. I want to really do big stuff with that. But to keep it slight, because I'll probably talk about stuff later, my name is Kobi. I like to have fun. I like to really do art. I like to, just be me, be the best me possible every day. So we here. No cap.
Well, awesome. Well, I really like that, especially that last part where you said be the best me that you can every day. That's something I'm definitely going to try to touch on later. But like I said, I'm really glad to have you here. And you told me a little bit earlier too that not only had we been speaking, but you'd also been recommended to be on here too.
Yeah, for sure. Like, cause I had, shout out Caden. I'll throw him out there, and D'Angelo for getting on here and then, saying everything great about it and how, So I'm like, I love to come up here and talk about, my life, stuff like that. Like, I've never actually really been interviewed. So this is my first like real genuine, kind of interview as a person, just any, whatever. Besides like a job interview, but you don't really count those. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad to be the first one. Like I said, I'm sure with all of the amazing stuff you're going to do and are already doing, I know this will just be the first of many.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, let's get open.
Oh, yeah, of course. So I guess let me just start off by saying, so what really, I guess, first helped you get fascinated with the artistic process and wanting to do art, learn art, and be a creative?
Oh man, it's crazy. I feel like I got like a 2-part answer. So I went to my high school, and that was an art school. It was like the magnet was an art, So at Woodside they had the art magnet and stuff like that, and I kind of got invested into that because I already knew Photoshop. But I wanted to see, this is why it's a 2-part answer, because at first I wasn't really fully intrigued in being an artist. I just like to do art sometimes, but I wasn't like, oh, nah, I'm gonna be an artist myself. I didn't really have no passion like that, but I was like, I'll do art because if I do art, I do my first class, they would have allowed me to do digital art. And digital art basically would be like Photoshop and stuff like that. And I already knew Photoshop. I had two other friends who knew Photoshop as well. So we basically plotted like a free agency build. Like, okay, this second year, we're all gonna be in this computer art class, and it's gonna be easy. It's like when you know Spanish, you take a Spanish class. Not gonna lie to you. So I was like, all right, bet we're all gonna in this class. And then I took that class, and it was pretty easy, but it was really fun. I enjoyed every second of it. My first one and my second one, especially my second one, that was where I really changed my life. But for those computer art classes, it really was like, I guess I already knew how to do this stuff, but I think the process of making projects itself was kind of found into those classes. And I got to be confident in my skill because I started to realize like the other people around me, like those classes, they didn't have that same skill and ability. And like, I'm already used to it. And that wasn't like to look down on them. I think it's a good thing to always learn something new because there's plenty of stuff I don't know, but it made me realize I actually have something I could do with this. And so after I took those classes and stuff like that, I realized like they gave me a little bit of a confidence boost to do it. And then it was probably during the pandemic. I think, yeah, it was during the pandemic. My first attempt really to kind of do this was I had a shoot with my friend Isaias, but I told him what I wanted the pictures of, and I said I just wanted to Photoshop. Like I wanted to Photoshop them into something cool so I could post on Instagram because I was like, I really feel like, I feel like I can get something really cool on Instagram. I feel like I can really make myself stand out. Like I don't like to be normal. Like I don't like to be on the same stuff everybody else is really on. And I don't really like to be, I like to stand out because I really want to do something big with influencing and teaching and stuff like that. And so I felt like I was really not looked at like that. And so, it feels like such a vain motivation, but it was like a motivation bigger than just me kind of, because I was like, I really want to show some cool stuff to people. And so I did that, and he gave me the pictures, and that was like the first time I actually made something with an intent to show people, with an intent of creating something artistic, with an intent of something with slightly of a message. And it went well. Like I really enjoyed that. And I won't lie to you, I know it's just a post, but I was nervous before I posted it. Like, because I was like, oh man, what if people want to receive this? Like, you don't really see people Photoshop their picture and put them on there. At least at that time, I didn't see that. And so I know people did that before, but I didn't see it on my feed and stuff like that. So I was like, oh man, I was just overthinking. You know what I mean? I'm overthinking like teenager. So I was like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen with this. What's going to happen with that? But eventually I just let it into the world. And after that, I was just like, I think I like to keep doing this. And then eventually I bought a camera, I got more into it. And then, yeah, so the artistic process just kind of came, I think probably from that first shoot I had with Isaias. That really meant a lot to me because I really got to choose what happens, even though I didn't have a camera at the time. I was using his. I was behind the camera. I didn't shoot anything, but he took the pictures and I was like, given the picture to do something with. But I think being so given the opportunities to be given something and see that I can make something out of it. And, the reception I got from that really made me go like, I think I like this, because the artistic process to me has always been like doing what feels right and kind of just, practice. And then, a lot of people don't, some people are artists privately and some people are artists publicly. And I like to be kind of a public artist. I like to see the reception. I like to see the hype. I like to see, just whatever, because I feel like it's exciting to share to the world. So that's where that first came from. Not gonna lie.
Well, that's actually really interesting to hear, especially that, you had went into it and you were like, I already know this stuff. I just need to get past this one art class and then, I should be set. I'm with my friends and, but that you were really able to still take away stuff, even though you thought that you already had a grasp of it.
Yeah, it was kind of like the classes gave me, it weren't that like insanely structured, but it kind of like, it gave me an idea of a structure. It gave me an idea of practice and keeping up with it, because that stuff I probably wouldn't have done just solo though. Even though I knew it, like I would be spontaneous with it. A class made me kind of get on the structure. Not a great one, I won't lie to you. It was not like I was in like some amazing artist in class, but it made me think about it like that. And so, sometimes to this day, I still think of projects like schoolwork because that's how, a lot. Sometimes you got to credit school because they do give you the keys to life in certain ways. You just got to look at it in certain ways. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely, especially with due dates and time management, trying to make sure that you do everything by a certain time. Because even though you're not going to like get an F or anything from not completing something, but certainly if you're going to like have a subject of your photo or whatever, you don't want it where it's just hanging out there. It's just
Yeah.
it just exists.
Yeah, we're gonna get to it.
Yeah, but I'm glad to hear that you were able to progress with it. And you mentioned too that like that during the pandemic time is when you really started doing this on your own. And so for you during the time of, I guess, the earlier part of the COVID-19 pandemic, how did that really, I guess, affect you as a creative person? Because not only did you mention that you were starting to really become fond of the creative process during the your time of high school, but that it was during the early times of the pandemic that you actually did the first photo shoot that you started. So I guess what was really going on for you during that time?
Yeah. Um so for me, like, also I don't know if the shoot was before or like right before or during, but it was definitely like in that time range. So but COVID itself, of course, like life changing event for everybody, of course. And this is like a pivotal point of my life. Like for all of us, that anyone my age, like this is a pivotal point for our life because I'm like 20 right now. So, that was a pivotal point because this was high school. This was like, we're about to graduate. People go into, you get told this while you're in school. It's like, this is the part of your life where everything changes, the part where you really discover yourself and stuff like that. And so everybody's going into this like, with one thing, like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do, And you try to be like, I'm gonna have time. When I get to college, I'm gonna have time to, discover myself. Boom, there goes COVID. No, you do, like you got time, but now there's nothing to really to explore. And so for me at this point, I'm just rolling with the punches. I'm like, all right, COVID's here. Just finna sit inside the house, and that made me kind of look at myself, and I guess I was just not satisfied, like, with whatever I had going on because when I was in COVID and stuff like that, it just felt like there was nothing going on. I couldn't, really see nothing. I had no projects. I had nothing to build upon. School was kind of like this idea of something being built upon because you go to the grades and you're like, you're going to graduate and then you go to college, stuff like that. But this was a time where I feel like everything stopped. And I was just like, well, I don't know what I got going on now. And I think it was the boredom and unsatisfaction and, kind of like depression and stuff like that during that time really all set in for me to start doing creative things because that was my way of expression. That was my way of working, of doing something because I kind of need something to do. And so there's a big like study or correlation into boredom and creativity. And I think for me, a lot of that boredom came into like this idea of a dissatisfaction with my, I don't have anything I can do. And I was also like, at this point in time, I was like, I'm really not talented or I'm not creative. I can't do much. Like I couldn't play piano. I just learned how to make a paper airplane a few years ago. Like, there's not that many skills and talents I was really into. Even though I was talented at stuff, I didn't recognize at that point. So I was like, man, I'm really just out here doing nothing. And like, I think COVID kind of scared me into being like, I need to do something. I need to, I can do something. And so, it was like a first phase was like, I can't do nothing. And then like sometimes I get down on myself and then I feel like the second phase is always like that's not how I'm rolling. That's not what we're doing. Like I can do this. And so my second phase is like I can definitely do something. So that's what inspired me to get that shoot. And so I think COVID really inspired me to look into myself and to do something because with all that time and all that whatever, you either look into the void and do nothing or you look into the void and make something out of it. So like I was kind of I was just like, at that time, I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and try to do something, try to practice something. And it's funny because I wasn't even like, I told one of my friends, but I was like, yeah, Photoshop's cool, but it's like nothing I wouldn't really want to do nothing far with. Like that's what I told him. Unfortunately, I'm like a Photoshop, guy now. But at that time, I was like, nah, I don't think it's anything I want to do because at first I didn't like the process itself was cool. Like I enjoyed it, but like it was sometimes a little too long, and sometimes like, it's whatever. And I was like, and I'm not a photographer, so I'm like, it's whatever. Like, but I'll do it. I kept doing it simply because I wanted to practice something. I wanted to be better at something. I wanted to have something I could be known for. And eventually, I just got really into it. Like, I really enjoy doing it now beyond whatever. So, if anyone's like listening, like stuff like that, you just gotta stick on the one thing and practice, and eventually you probably will love it, or maybe you'll hate it. But that's what it was for me. COVID really got me to focus on something because there was nothing going on. So I really had to be like, all right, this is what I got to do for me to really feel like I'm doing something because nothing was going on. So yeah, that's what COVID did for me. And a lot of people are like, oh man, I wish COVID never happened. And of course, I wish it wouldn't happen because not a great event. But for me personally, I think a lot of character development and stuff like that was put into COVID. And like I'm not going to thank COVID itself personally, but I'm going to thank the times and experiences I had from it to really grow into who I am today. Because I don't think I would have been the same if I had the same old no COVID life. So this is where I'm at. This is who I am now. So it's cool. It's cool with me.
Well, that's like I said, that's definitely a very interesting perspective, and I have a very similar perspective in terms of looking back at 2020, 2021, I guess 2022, I suppose, but I mean, it's one of those things where obviously, just like you said, it's not like we wish for this to happen, but given the circumstances that this did happen, that a lot of personal growth definitely, I mean, came a long way, and where it's like you have to essentially just adapt to the environment you're in and just like progress from there. Otherwise, you're just sort of stuck in place.
Yeah. Stagnant, man. I can't do stagnant. I hate stagnant. It's awful.
Yeah, and so for you, at what point did you really go from just being the Photoshop guy to wanting to pick up the camera yourself and just wanting to shoot and edit?
Man, yeah, I'm glad you asked that because it's always so interesting to me because, like I said, I was definitely the Photoshop dude. Like I was just so I would do like these artist edits. It would just be straight Photoshop of the artist stuff like that. So if anyone knows, it's a process of going on Google, looking up like Little Uzi, and getting pulling that picture from Google Images, putting on Photoshop, and then doing whatever you want with it. Which I like. I like doing that. Don't get me wrong. I think I did it a good amount of times to the point, and like I'll start doing the other people's photos. Like I'll ask his eyes, like, "Yo, can I get a picture?" I start look like like I was just begging for stuff. Like, "Yo, send me some pictures of people you got. Just send me your way, bro. I really want to do something with it." And like I have these ideas in my head because I also learned how to draw from school. Keep a little bit, just a tiny bit. So I would like start sketching things, ideas, and stuff like that I want to execute. But the thing is, if you want to really get creative with the pictures, I mean, with sketches and ideas and stuff like that, you're gonna have to express more and get more out of it. And I can't go to someone else with a camera and be like, "Yo, can you just get like a picture of like this dude doing a backflip real quick? Like real quick. I just need this for my like project. Why don't I do it? No, I don't got a camera." Like I didn't want to do that. And so I really started to get more and more ideas. I started to get more things, and I just didn't want to pull from Google Images because number one, a lot of people pull the same images of artists and just edit them, and I was like, I don't want to do the same thing. Like, I don't want to really just keep reusing the same picture. Like, this is the same picture of like Playboy Cardi and like with his shirt like this, and people putting vampire stuff on him. No, I can't do it again. And so I think I really started to get into that when I sketched and I was like, I really want to be able to pose people myself. And so I was like, I made an investment on myself. I was working at the time, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save up for a camera. A lot of my friends are photographers, were photographers, and are photographers right now still. And at that time, I was like, I'm just gonna go get a camera. I looked up what's the best starter camera. Everyone knows that Canon Rebel T7 cannot fail you. So I just kind of saved over like a period of 2 or 3 months because I was working OD. I was working so much. I saved over a span of 2 to 3 months because I didn't want to rush into it. And then I bought the camera, and I was like, cool. And I already had some ideas of like how I wanted, pictures and stuff to come out, like how I wanted this and how I wanted to edit things. And so I got a camera, and I posted about it, said, it's time. And I was waiting for someone to be like, let's do it. I got like one person, and that was Angel. Shout out Angel, man. We started this together. I ain't gonna lie to you. Angel hit me up, and he was like, yeah, I'm down to model, whatever. And I was like, let's do it. And so basically I took him to the thing, and I basically like, I had ideas for how I wanted to play out, but in my head, as we were there, I would like get ideas of what I want to Photoshop and what I want him to angle like, so I could do this and do that. And so while I was there, I was like, all right, this is really a fun process, And I started snapping the pictures, which I also had a little bit of practice with in school as well. So like I said, shout out education. But I wasn't fully blinded, but I was still very new. And at that time, I didn't know what ISO was still. I didn't know what aperture was. I didn't know none of this. I was on manual settings, just like, hey, let's get the pictures out. I'm just here for the Photoshop anyways, right? So, so we took that first shoot, and I was like, all right, I know how to do like this paper effect, this paper cut effect. We're going to do this on the photos, and I'm going to do like a magazine, which I'm very inspired by. And I was like, all right, cool. And then once I kind of got a feel of that, I was like, this is kind of easier than just pulling a picture of somebody already doing a pose, because I get more expression. I get more, energy. I get something new. I like new. I like new a lot. Like I like new lives. I like new everything, So yeah, that was where I kind of got into that from. And then eventually I just kind of went all the way into photography, and just kind of now Photoshop is my second thing. And I was like, well, yeah, but it was fun doing that. That's how I got into that.
Well, that's always really fun how interest in one thing changes to interest in something completely, not necessarily 100% different, but definitely like was it like a adjacent field, sort of like I had started into YouTube, and now do podcast. YouTube's like the second, it was a very distant second thing, and so it's like you never really know where a lot of these skills will take you, and so yeah. But I'm definitely glad that you were able to sort of pick up that extra skill set and like run with it, explore it. And I've definitely seen some of your latest pieces, and actually some of your older ones too, and they are truly impressive. So good job with that and all of the work that you put into that.
Thank you, sir. I'm like, real quick, I'm just gonna ask about YouTube. Like, you were about to do YouTube instead? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I started with YouTube back in May 2016, and fun fact, it was not, the YouTube was not a school project. It was more so the project was for civics, and it was make a company. And I was like, all right, I've already come up with my theoretical company idea. This is boring to me. Let me go ahead and let me start from scratch and just make a whole new one. And I wanted it to be as realistic as possible. So I made my YouTube channel maybe a month or so, give or take, afterwards, based off the exact same thing, same name, same design, same everything. And so I'd done that for several years, and then I'd add a blog onto it, I had a podcast onto it, and then eventually in 2020 I shifted to have the podcast as the main thing, and just kept running from there. And so I've done some YouTube stuff here and there since then, but definitely podcast is my number one, and has been since for almost 2 years now. Yeah.
Hey, man, time flies. Man, I feel like everyone had like, no lie, I feel like everyone had like that YouTube era where they're like, I can do YouTube. Like, you know what I mean? But I think that's always really cool, because it's like, this wasn't always a thing with generations. Like, not everyone could be like, oh, I wanted to do YouTube, because YouTube didn't exist in the 90s. Like, you just had to be like, well, I'm gonna be a milkman. So, I like that I think it's really cool that we have so many options growing up. It's a little overwhelming sometimes, but it's like that's really cool. So, and I, like I said, you explored and you found the path, and I think that's really good for of our age and stuff like that. So that's cool, man. You really like keep up with the podcast stuff like that. Like you're really professional with it. So that's only something can aspire to be where you're just looking for stuff and you're like, oh, found it, straight into it. Like that's really cool.
Cool. Well, thank you. And interestingly enough, is I was probably the last person you would expect to ever, like, I guess, join YouTube or any of this stuff, because I like keeping everything like very to myself. And
Yeah,
like I said, truly my driving motivation was helping others. And so I knew the tech knowledge, I knew the research, and I just wanted to be able to share it because I knew a lot of people like always ask me about this stuff, and so I wanted it to be more easily accessible without people necessarily always having to come to me directly, and can just be easily accessible on the World Wide Web. But
yeah.
speaking of videos, though, I know that for you, at least a few months ago, that you were actually doing an interesting project on the Twitch streaming platform.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my Twitch, man. I gotta get back up there. But yeah, I've been on and off streaming, like not consistently at all. Like I would do like 2 or 3 streams and then I'll stop and then I'll do 2 or 3 streams. I think I really did find what I want to do with streaming my last stream because you were there for that. Shout out you and like I got a few other people that were in there. Those are really fun. That was like my Twitch stream project where I was kind of just I would go up there and I recreate album covers or posters if I in the future and stuff like that. And that was basically like a way to show my skill of like doing Photoshop stuff, but also being able to interact with people and being social. I practice a lot of social skills, like since whatever, and I talked about this on stream too. So I really enjoy talking and being whatever, and I like entertaining. I feel like even before I did all the art stuff, I was an entertainer at heart, honestly. So that was like a combination of everything I wanted to do, because I feel like in the 90s and stuff like that, like everybody wanted to be like a rapper, a rock star and stuff like that. And trust me, don't get me wrong, I definitely wanted to be a rapper when I was like 14. But I feel like it's new generation, it's like Twitch streamers and stuff like that are stuff that people look up to. I feel maybe I'm a little too old to be like, yeah, Twitch streamers are exactly who I want to look up to because I don't think Twitch was really popping when I was young, but it was getting to that point. But I feel like Twitch streamers and stuff like that, like influencers, are now the new thing to be like, oh, I want to be like that. And so in my head, I'm like, this is something I can. I was looking at how everybody else is doing and stuff like that. I was like, I can definitely do this because I practice and I enjoy like a lot of social, socialization, entertaining. Like, this is all stuff in my head that it didn't really exist when I was first coming up. Like YouTube exists for sure, but I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be a YouTuber. But Twitch is fun to me because it feels like when I really like when last time I went up there where you were up there and you were interacting and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. That was really like I felt like I was having a conversation. I was showing people stuff and I was getting to talk, but also have the floor to entertain, but also show skill and just have a community of people I can talk to. And we were talking about some really deep stuff, man. Y'all gotta go back. I gotta start another one and just get more people in there. But like, we were really talking about some good stuff like art, life, and like tech stuff and where this is going. And like that really felt like I was really in a room. Like I really had some cool stuff to do, while also having a project and really being focused on something. Like I'm not just up there just like me sitting in a room like, all right, you guys talking to me. But I had a goal, but then sometimes we can hang off from that. I really enjoyed it because, like I said, as you can tell, I like talking. So and I like to be with people. I like to socialize. So yeah, I want to get back onto it. I don't know when I'm gonna do it. I got to make a consistent schedule. I got a lot going on. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, definitely taking creativity to a whole new level. And speaking of, since you mentioned that you have a lot of stuff going on, so I know for you, like I mentioned in your introductions, that you're about to start a whole new chapter of your educational journey.
Yeah, yeah. I'm about to go straight into VCU. I got 2 more years. Um, and I just switched my major over from psych to mass communications. I'm doing concentration and creative advertising. I want to be a creative director. So I took a few. I got to take a few more classes, but it's like it's worth it for something I can do. Because psych was something I was really interested in, but I was like, nah, let me focus in on something I can do. Because now that I got the photography stuff rolling, I was like, I can really do something with this creative vision stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here, and I'm just I feel like what I'm most excited for in the school is really the opportunities, the people, networking, the ideas, the all the stuff that happens here. That's what I'm excited for this educational journey, and so that's really what's exciting to me. And we'll see what's going on.
Well, that's pretty cool. And so you mentioned psych. So was psychology your was that your just your major going into Virginia Commonwealth, or was that your one from your previous part of your educational journey since you just officially graduated at the community college level not too long ago? And late congratulations, by the way.
Oh no, thank you. The answer to that is both of them because my 2 years I spent in a community college, I did psych. I took so many psych classes that I feel like I know the word psychology like the back of my hand. Um, but going into Thomas Nelson, I also was in psychology. It was not too long ago. I was like, let me look for the specific field that I need to really invest into because I felt like I was just kind of like once I got in the summer, I was less focused on what's going on, whatever's going to happen in school, and I was more focused on like what I'm doing personally. Like even at time, like even at my community college, I was like, um, I'm not really focused too hard because the classes were not too hard, so I was like, I'm not going to worry too much about what's going on. And like community college kind of felt like it was like I was like, oh, I just got to get through this, and we'll see what happens after this. Great school though. I mean, it was a pretty good school. So yeah. Sorry, my window's open. Anyways, but yeah, so I basically got into psych when I came over to VCU, and then I talked to my counselor, and I was like, I think I want to switch over to this because I looked up all the stuff I can do and all the ideas I had. I was like, I want to get into this mass communication, creative advertisement, and stuff like that. And so, boom, that's how I got into that. And now I'm starting off VCU finally with that straight idea. So we'll see what happens.
Well, awesome. Well, I'm glad that you were able to enjoy that officially. Yeah, graduate for the first time, another graduation 2 years, and now you're in the big city of Richmond. And so I guess like even though we're gradually, I guess wrapping up, there are a few things I definitely I guess want to ask. So for you as a psychology person from doing the past 2 years, has that changed how you think about the creative process at all?
Oh man, absolutely. The thing is, I know I said I switched from psychology, but I feel like psychology is always with me. I grew up loving psych. Well, okay, I won't say I grew up. I always grew up really enjoying like mental things and stuff like that, and like whatever. So psychology, but like I wasn't really into the straight field of it. I was just like I didn't think about psychology. I was just like I like thinking of people would think of stuff, and I like thinking into the perspective of people. Um, and then in school, I took AP Human, Geography, with Mr. Cook. Shout out Mr. Cook. Um, and he was a AP Psych teacher as well. And so we had this AP Human Geography class, which was all about people and being in certain locations, and basically about like why one tribe likes this and one this like this, and we know what it's like in different parts of the world. And as somebody who's really never left the U.S., I'm like, this is really interesting, but also like he would incorporate psychological elements into things. And I started to love that because I was like, it really made me, you know, it resonated with me because I feel like I'm a person where every day, and since a while ago, since like middle school, I've always been a person where like I'm thinking about what will make me the best at something or what will make me better at something or how I can mentally be better at something. Like I'm a straight mental student of everything, like socialization. I've read so many books on like how to socialize, and I practice it. Like I really have a passion for like just that type of stuff. I've improved so much, like it's crazy. I talked about this on stream again too. Um, but also like I was into kind of like sympathy, empathy, and kind of like learning about other people. Kind of because I think it's important that if you ever want to do something that's really going to impact people and be important, you want to know the biases, you want to know the cognitive like skills, abilities, the you know you want to really learn about the mental, the brain, because I feel like it's such an underrated thing, and I feel like psychology in the future is going to get to a point where it starts to be better understood by the general public. I feel like it's more looked at as a, oh, like that's interesting, but I feel like it needs to be even higher than that. It needs to be something that we teach at even younger ages. Is it like, because as I realized, as more and more I was going into it, the more I realized this plays to everything we do. Like this is important. This is almost as important as health. This is like this basically is health, and understanding. Like I said, education is something. So education is key. I was gonna say health is wealth, but that's not what I meant. But psychology is basically like this. I think it's a really underrated topic, and I think it's going to keep going up because I feel like the topics about mental health and mental health awareness are going up and trending upwards, and that's really good. I feel like this is the time where it all starts to go towards things. Schools have started to give out like free mental health and therapists as a part of school. That wasn't a thing like 20 years ago. Though barely was a thing 10 years ago too. Psychology, like psychologists weren't really. I mean, they were always a thing. That's a huge thing. There's a lot of history to it. But I feel like there's another level of advancement we could do. This is another type of modernization we can do with psychology and psychology departments and stuff like that. And I really do feel like we can. Dang, what was I about to say? It was something about psychology, but yeah, it really got into everything I do, and so going to creative process. Of course, I went into that because I'm really interested in like. That's why I kind of want to. This is why I'm in the field I want to do right now, because I'm really interested to how things look and how things appear and how people create things and how it influences other people and what makes it this. Like I every time I look at something influential, or I look at something big like music, or I'm looking at something like a poster, I really think into how it's designed, how everything about it really starts to come together to make something artistic, but also influence people. How is it, how does something stick out? How does something make it valuable? And it's always been interesting to me because it's like, I feel like there's never really one answer. Sometimes there is no answer. Like I feel like sometimes it's just like you just gotta look at it and it's like, oh, that's what it makes me feel. But I don't know. Like music is a mystery because it's like you can describe all the ways it makes you want to dance and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's hard to really get to the idea of it. So that's why psychology is so interesting to me, because it's like a ever going quest, and I think it really makes life more interesting. Because you can put psychology in everything. The psychology of money, psychology of art, psychology, all that. Like that's all really important to me. So that's how it got into me. I really want to do something creative direction simply because it's still a mix of psychology with art. I'm not just wanting to be an artist just to do it for my self-worth, but just to really see how far we can push things, how far, I can innovate, how far I can really persuade the public, how, just all the things we can do with it rather than just, making something for myself. And that's why I'm on that's why I'm on like Instagram. That's why I'm on social media, because it's something that deals with social whatever. And that's more of a sociology thing, but like I said, it's a lot of cool stuff with it.
Well, all of that is, like I said, just really cool and fascinating. And for me, like I've always had like an interest in this stuff, and while it, may not have been necessarily like in school per se, although I did take a psychology class in college before I went to my current university. But I mean, it's just always so fascinating to hear like all about this. And for me, like my major is in media studies, and so I'm
Mm-hmm.
studying like how media affects the everyday American society, and and the impact that it has. And for me, I've grown up on television, and so I mean, it just really comes to show like how impactful like everything is to us, especially in our growing up and our well-being. So you brought up some really great points, and like I said, I've just really enjoyed this conversation thus far. And so I did want to definitely allow some time for you. Is there anything else that you would like to mention while you're here? Anything that you would like to, yeah, to even ask me? The floor is all yours.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, first, I remembered as I was listening to you. I remember what I was going to say, real quick. The field, like I said, of psychology, which also, like I said, I'm interested in. It is growing, and like I was going to mention, the idea of a sports psychologist, that's coming more and more of a popular thing. It's becoming a legitimate field, and I feel like with the growth and boom of social media, um, the mental health effects of that are going to obviously keep growing as well. And there's going to be more studies. There's going to be more things because social media is a new thing. There's going to be studies, longitudinal studies that are going to be invested into it. That's going to really be interesting to look at from years from now. And I think there's going to be a lot of interesting cases. And that in turn is going to lead to this future of mental health is important, where it's just as important as physical health. It's looked at as physical health, and it is at that point now. But I think there's another level of like protecting and understanding and doing stuff like this and teaching it to kids. I feel like what we teach to kids is really going to be kind of the building blocks of the next generation. I feel like it's not taught to kids yet. We're going to get to this point, maybe next generation or next generation, where once you teach that to the younger, the younger kids and stuff like that, that's going to be where you start to understand this things of mental health from a young perspective, and you grow up and develop off of that, and not just learn that when you're already in middle school and high school. That's going to be a whole different type of growing up than learning in middle school. That's going to be a whole different type of normalization than if you just grew up learning in middle school, because a lot of things can happen between you being young and middle school. And also there's a key aspect in if parents are teaching it to them kids young, that means there's a standard kind of social modernization in the idea and normalcy in all parents. I feel like when the parents start teaching kids stuff, that's when it becomes like a social cue, like a social status, like a whatever social norm to kind of do that. So, like I said, I'm really excited for the future. I know I'm going to try and teach my kids as much about mental health, mindfulness. Is kind of like it's like a spiritual. It's not spiritual, but it's like just meditation and stuff like that, which is also psychology. It plays a little bit in psychology as well. I think that's going to be something that's going to be really looked into when it comes to mental health and stuff like that. I think that's going to be really interesting. So anyone listening, do your research. You know what I mean? Mindfulness changed my life. Meditation and stuff like that. That's going to be the key to everything. I feel that it's the future. And hopefully this all ages well. So I can just say, yeah, like I really felt like this was the truth. But I mean, not to say it's the truth, but also to be leading that movement myself. I feel like that's something I need to start practicing and preaching and with my own works and my own personality and my own person, like I said. But yeah, besides that though, man, I'm really just excited to make more work. I feel like this has been the best time for me personally to really just explore myself and do a lot of great things and get opportunities like this. It really does mean a lot. Like it means a lot to me because I felt like growing up, I was kind of like a lot more introverted. I was a lot more awkward. I didn't know how things worked. I did, but I really wasn't a part of it. And so, it just really does mean a lot for this interview for, just as far as I got and really with doing art and stuff like that. Coming from somebody who like, I kind of was raised independently. Like it was just my mom. And then I was raised on the internet and stuff like that. And I always felt like I was kind of just, I was never really that popular or whatever. Like I wasn't really growing up like that. And so to really get to this point where I feel like I can do something with this and really, I guess be the best me, like we said earlier, it means a lot. Like, and to have people appreciating it and to show that, like, it still feels weird to be like that because I feel like a lot of time I was just like, I can do this, myself. Like I can prove to myself I can do this myself. And now where I'm in like a field where like I kind of prove to other people what I can do or like, whatever. And people look up and people, say things and people say like, oh, this is cool. This is great. Like it's still like, I'm still internally grateful. Like I can't ever describe in words what it means for me to be up here telling people about, telling you, it doesn't have to be people, but just telling you about how I feel and to have someone listening or to tell, whatever. and for people to look up and be like, I want to do stuff like that, or the people would be like, oh, keep pushing doing this. Like this is really it's kind of surreal. Like I haven't really done anything yet, like too big. But at this point right now, I just still feel weird. So like I said, I'm just really grateful to be up here. This has really been a great opportunity. But like I'm also just really grateful for everybody who really supports and sees the vision and kind of helps me a lot. Like I got a lot of friends that I made from just doing art, and I mean beyond just doing art, just from being me recently, like and talking about how I feel. It felt like there was a point in time where talking about how I feel and the things I like wasn't going to be as adored or like as as looked at as now. And posting on social media or doing this and doing that wasn't going to lead to anything. But now it feels like it leads to something. So I really am like really grateful like for that. Like I said, I can't say it enough. I don't know how much more I can say it, but it means a lot to me. And I don't think I could ever thank the people like that really helped me to define myself enough. Like I said, I just really thank for everyone who likes and supports my stuff, who talks to me, keeps up with me. Shout out Brandon, man. He kept on, asking me about this interview, kept on asking me about when we're going to do this. And like I said, structure is sometimes really good for me and sometimes it's not really good for me. And sometimes like, I really struggle in getting something done. So shout out you, bro, for really getting me to get up here and to do this, because like I said, this has been really important to me. Like this is really something cool. And as I move out and I'm living somewhere else, like it's moments like this going to be pivotal to, I feel like probably both of us though, like from, pivotal to just kind of moving and doing more with it, because I feel like every step you take, you never know what's next from it. Like I said, you can have this podcast and then someone can listen to it and be like, yo, I really like your stuff. And then boom, that's in our relationship. And then I can promote this on whatever, or I can show this to somebody. I can show this to my mom or show this to my friend. And be like, yo, I want to hop on this next. And then like, just like Caden did. And then boom, now you have somebody. And yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I've absolutely just loved being able to speak with you and hear your story, and especially like that you said early on, just you're working to be the best person that you can be, and I love that. I mean, the fact that you're able to dedicate yourself to just always improving, always working towards the next thing, and like I said, I truly wish you, of course, all of the best in everything that you're doing, both now and in the future, because like I said, definitely for those of you listening, definitely keep your eyes open for all of the great stuff Kobi's doing. And I did want to make sure that to allow time for, if you have anywhere that people can follow you and see all of your amazing work, to go ahead and let us know where we can find it.
Oh yeah, I got you. Number one, well, before I do all that, I just want to say, like, once again, shout out to Brandon, man. Like this is really cool, and you are gonna keep growing, bro. Like this is really a consistent thing. This is a really professional endeavor. Before I came in here, I was like, dude, I feel like I'm really like the president or something, like coming into here. Like this is, you make it really feel comfortable. So yo, whoever, if anyone's listening to this point, or just whatever, like this is something definitely to look into, and like the consistency that you have, bro. I am looking to be that consistent, like that, that hard working with my own personal endeavors, because like I said, I still got other stuff going on outside of here, so I'm trying to be like this. But besides that, I will get into now what I got going on. So no cap, you know what I mean? Instagram, I done talked about like 30 times. If you didn't know yet, at Cash Kobi, KASHKOBI. No spaces, no dots, no nothing. It's Cash Kobi on Instagram. That's pretty much all I really post my art on and stuff like that. So you can follow me up there. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for that. I'm gonna open up like a website probably in the future. So if I ever get a second one up here, I'll promote that in the future. But right now, just go on my Instagram. That's all I got. Message me, contact me, whatever. And yeah, that's where I'm posting everything. And then yeah, I mean, if you see me out in public, it's Kobi. So that's pretty much that.
Well, so like I said, first of all, thank you so much for your amazing compliments, and it really does mean a lot to me. I've absolutely loved doing these interviews and speaking with, like I said, just tremendous guests such as yourself, and it's it's been a pleasure of a lifetime, and so I'm just glad to be here. And yeah, especially now as we're finishing out 2022 here on the Bran'sTech podcast station. But before I let you go, though, I did want to allow you to go ahead and close us out with whether it be a closing thought, quote, or anything that you'd like. The floor is all yours.
Oh man, cool, awesome, man. Um, I just want to give a shout out to real quick. Like I got some words, but shout out to my mom who really helped me become who I am and really helped me set up. My friends, shout out Isaiah, shout out Esteban, Say, Kaden. Now I feel bad shouting out names because I feel like I'm gonna forget some people and they're gonna be like, "Oh nah." So you know what? I cancel that. No more. No more shouting out. Just shout out to all the people who support me. But for real, like the people, if you know, you helped me grow up. I really appreciate it. Like seriously, I don't think I can ever say enough words how much it really means to me. That's one thing I need to get better at. But going back to the closing statements or whatever, I think we really hit on the topic of being the best me, whatever, every time. So I feel like that's going to be probably the title or something. I don't know. But like I said, I really feel like a lot of people kind of look at this idea of like being the best of this person or this, whatever. And like I said, you really just got to be the best you every day. Don't worry about being the nerd person doing this. I feel like once you start to really detach yourself from the future, detach yourself from the past, and start looking at you right now, and every day is going to be an everyday thing of what I can do today to be the best me. Sometimes you're not going to be the best. Sometimes you're not going to be as good. But if you're doing the best that you can, given the opportunities, you give yourself that sympathy, and you say tomorrow is going to be a day where I just am also going to be the best me. So don't try and be the next whoever. Don't try to be the next whatever. Let this be your story, man. That's what I had to realize. Like, this is my story. Like, I can't be the next Kanye. I can't be the next whoever. It's really just going to be me, because if you look at it now, your story is already different from everybody else. So you might as well use that to your advantage. And as cliche as it is, I hate it, but I think it really is there's truth behind just being yourself is really important. But I guess I'll add on to that and saying you have to figure out who you are, and so give yourself time, give yourself patience, and kind of sympathize with yourself and realize that everybody else has been, a lot of people have the same issues. A lot of people have issues that are, maybe not the same years, but a lot of people go through the same stuff. The people that you idolize had issues just like this. So I guess my main mantra to close this all out is to learn to let go of idolization and idling people and having, looking up the role models, and you start to realize how much of a role model you are to yourself, and you make yourself an idol. You become your own celebrity. So stay your own celebrity, be your own celebrity, appreciate yourself, learn yourself, be yourself, instead of, trying to be whoever else, trying to be that, and learn to just be yourself. And it's going to be a process. It's not going to be something you just activate, but make sure that you're your own celebrity, that your own significant other, that's your own whatever, because at the end of the day, this is your life, and you deserve to live it the best that you want it to be, so yeah, that's all I gotta say. Be yourself and become your own celebrity.
Awesome. Well, not only did you give an amazing interview, you also gave an amazing closing statement. I really hope that you all watching or listening, definitely took as much out of this as I did. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll have to catch you on the next one. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see y'all later. Bran'sTech has been created and produced by Brandon K. Hedgepeth of Tansson, LLC.